right. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Your Pace podcast. Blake, what is going on with the school year? It is flying by.
It
Oh my
really
goodness.
has. No, it's been crazy how fast it's been going. We're almost done, and it's kind of one of those bittersweet things. Kind of like our career fair, it was just like it's really fun while it's happening, and then all of a sudden it's almost over.
I know, I
There you
know.
go.
And so, for those of you who are new or you're just joining us, this is your Central Valley Charter School podcast where we shine a light on student passion, creativity, entrepreneurship, and much more. So, we also cover post secondary needs. Love it, love it, love it. Blake, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, for starters, it's like, a quick introduction. As always, for those who are familiar with their podcast, I'm Blake Wright, joined by my co-host Jonathan Kiaz, and we are super excited. Jonathan, do you want to go ahead and share the name of this episode's podcast and everything that we're going to be covering?
I'm gonna let the cat. I'll let the cat out of the bag, and our creative students are probably thrilled. This is our Everything Etsy episode, and it's all about turning your creativity into a business.
Yeah, so it's super exciting. I know a lot of students are going to be thrilled for it. I'm excited for this. And so super excited to have Grace Nunez here with us today. Grace is a talented creative of her own. She has her own Etsy shop, and today she's going to share what it's like running a business. So thank you so much, Grace, for being here today with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to share.
And so today, just a side note, our episode is for everyone. It's if you're into art, jewelry, clothing, digital design, or you're just in that, I know I'm creative and I just want to start something. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. So this episode is pretty much for, we'll say, our creatives in our school community. Blake, back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot of these things are just really cool, transferable skills. Maybe not all of it's for you, but some of it might be. So definitely going to be really exciting. So, but without further ado, we want to be, conscious of your time. So thank you again so much, Grace, for being here. Would you be able to share with us a little bit about what inspired you to start your own Etsy shop?
Sure. Well, I'll try to keep it short because my background's like a little bit of a winding road, but I've always been pretty artistic and creative. My father is a full-time artist, and I kind of wondered, maybe I'll be an artist someday, but I didn't really know, what does that mean? And I witnessed my dad kind of, be just the struggles of, being a traditional artist. So when I went to college, I was like, well, I want to do something creative. And so I ended up majoring in broadcast journalism and public relations and kind of going more the communication route. And I really enjoyed broadcasting because I was able to be creative, like in a videography sense, in a storytelling, writing sense. So I just went on that track and became a TV reporter, which was, a really amazing experience in a lot of ways, but it's also a very low paying job, very long hours. You kind of don't have control of your schedule. They send you to fires and murders and like all that kind of stuff. And you also have to start pretty much wherever you get a job. So I'm from Seattle, and then my first job was in Montana, and I just moved to Montana sight unseen. And so I did TV reporting for 6 years, and I got a lot of experience, but I also just really burned out from it. And I decided to leave news when I got pregnant with my first daughter, and I just was like, I can't deal with this schedule anymore, especially, going into motherhood. So I became a stay-at-home mom for about a year, and that's when I started dabbling in kind of different types of side hustles and just trying to figure out ways to like make money online basically. And so I started actually with Poshmark and eBay, like flipping clothes. Like I go to the thrift shop and buy nice clothes and flip them, and that was fun. But I had inventory, like I had boxes and boxes of stuff, and I lived in an apartment, and it was just like a lot to keep up with. So I started researching other types of online stuff that didn't have like inventory. So I started learning about Etsy, and then I won't go into this too much, but I went back into like the 9 to 5 world, and I went into more traditional communication. Actually lived in California for a while and worked for the city of Sacramento. And then I worked in healthcare, public relations, like ghostwriting for the chief executives and sending out newsletters and stuff like that. So I was able to use my creativity in those jobs, but I always felt like it wasn't exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So I started my Etsy shop doing print on demand, which probably a lot of people have heard about at this point. But basically, the artist designs the art and then you work with a separate company, like a third-party company. I use the company Printify. It's worked great for me. And they have all these different types of products like clothes, sweatshirts, phone cases. They have so many different things, candles, kind of whatever you want. And then you take your designs, you put them onto these products, and then you sync them to your Etsy store. You could also have like a Shopify store. There's different ways you can sell the merchandise. And then from there, when someone purchases it, instead of you having to like quickly make something and send it out yourself from the inventory that you have in your home, it just goes straight to the company, and that's where the on-demand part comes in, right? Like they have your design on file, someone buys it, they're like, cool, and they print the t-shirt and they send it out, and then all you have to handle is like, the customer service and uploading the designs and sort of the marketing side of it. So everything can be done remotely on your computer from anywhere. And so it's been a really good side hustle for me. And then going back to my corporate life, I was actually laid off, and I've never been fired from anything, never been laid off before. But this past October, I got laid off from my job in healthcare communication. And I just sort of had this moment. There were a lot of other things going on in my personal life where I was like, one of those, I wouldn't call it a midlife crisis, but it was a moment where I felt like I was being forced to evaluate what I was doing. And I said, you know what? I could just start applying for 9 to 5 jobs in downtown Seattle where I have to put on my heels and drive in an hour to work. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that right now. I want to follow my creativity. And I really got like quiet with myself and did a lot of like inner work basically to kind of muster up the courage to follow my creativity, which has been something that has always been important to me, but I really felt like I lost it. So anyway, all that to say, I'm now kind of doing entrepreneurship in a couple different ways. I'm working on the Etsy shop. It's not my only thing, but it is a way to ideally bring in some kind of passive income. There is a lot of work up front to, get your shop up and running, get the designs going. You always want to like be maintaining it, and you have to respond to customers sometimes, things like that. But in theory, it's scalable. Like if you put out one design and some of them go viral and sell 100 to 100,000 times, and if you make $4 profit, right, it's a numbers game. So that's kind of my plan with Etsy. And then I also have a YouTube channel that I'm working on, and I can get into this more, but there's ways to, Etsy's like, it's a standalone thing. It operates as like a search engine. So people can just find your stuff, but also you can use it as a way, like if you're trying to monetize your social media or your YouTube, you can put a link to your Etsy shop in your YouTube videos and then have them all kind of work as this like ecosystem where you have different ways to bring in money online. So that's where I'm at.
Love it. And you know what? To our listeners, our students who are, I'm thinking of seniors right now, Blake, who they're like, I need to figure it out, and I don't feel like I'm made for a desk job. I love that your story can speak life into them, Grace, that they can just pause and breathe, do that inner work. because you don't have to have it all figured out. Like, you don't have to have this clear cut path where some paths look a little bit, I don't know if messy is the word, but they look a little bit non-traditional, post-secondary. They look a little bit like I saw a graphic or a picture or a meme, I think you'd say. It was of success really looks like this, and it has like a bunch of scribbly lines instead of like this linear.
It's not a line. Just cut that idea out right now. It's not.
I love that. I love that. You're really speaking to that group in our school. So I wanted to kind of go back and just speak to those students. You shared a little bit, how you were going through the Poshmark journey where you had all these clothes. And that for that student who's figuring out, okay, how do I decide what to focus on? So I wanted to ask you that question. If you could maybe share, I don't know if it would be the inner work, but how did you decide what to focus on? That's a common question we get from our students who are creatives. What do I focus on? I know I'm gifted. Well, what do I focus on?
If you have the answer to that, the cure to that question, please let me know, because I'm still working through that too.
I love it.
No, but I know some of your students are neurodivergent, and I have ADHD. Sometimes I'm like, maybe I have autism, but that's not diagnosed, but I am officially diagnosed with ADHD. And that's something, different story, won't get into it, but I was diagnosed in my 30s. And so, first of all, if you already know that you are neurodivergent as a kid, like, that's amazing, and lean into it. My advice would be to lean into it, because it was something that was like, I just felt weird and different, and kind of like really did the traditional way, like I went to college, I got the degree, I got the job in my industry, I got married, I had kids, like I like did the like checked all the boxes. And then within the last couple of years, like it was almost like looking around my life and being like, oh, like this doesn't feel good. Like it's not in alignment. And like the idea of alignment is something that I've been really learning about. And so I feel like kids these days are honestly in such a better position, because like I feel like a lot of you have already gone to therapy. A lot of you like understand your brain, and you're also like, there's so much information out there. You can find your little communities online, even if you don't necessarily like fit in exactly with your peers at school. Like there's ways that you can kind of like lean into what you're interested in and find things that way. So for the creative people, like, I guess my biggest advice is to just like embrace it as much as you can, because what I'm learning as a late millennial is that when you follow like your heart or your intuition or your gut or God or whatever, like whatever source that you can kind of like connect to that makes you feel like you're really connected to yourself and you're not answering to other people, that's when things start to click. And I swear I am literally just now learning that. So if people can lean into that now, that's amazing. But as far as picking what to focus on, I think it is difficult too when you are creative and you are multi-skilled and you're like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And one quote that's always resonated with me is like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So I think also as a neurodivergent person, I can get stuck in the trap of researching and learning, and I know a million things about a million things, and then I get stuck in the execution part. So a lot of it is like just starting. And if you want to make like physical art, like do it, right? It's like we get in this trap of watching people do things online or being like, oh, I really love that, but I couldn't do that because my parents would think it was weird or whatever. We tell ourselves all these stories, and I guess my advice is to just start somewhere and like maybe it won't stick. I did Poshmark for maybe like a year or two. And at one point I had had my second baby and I had just moved in to an apartment and and it was the beginning of the pandemic. So I used to work in an office and I was sent from home. So I was like working at my computer and all my Poshmark stuff was next to me. And I was just like, I don't like the way this feels anymore. So I just sold all my stuff and moved on. And so that's another thing too, is like trying something. And if it doesn't totally fit, like you're not a failure, you're not a quitter. Like the only way you fail is if you like don't try. You know what I mean? If you have this amazing idea, anyone can have amazing ideas and anyone can sit there and learn and research and talk about it. But it's like the execution part, I think is really really key, and executing in a way that feels like aligned. Like what do I want to do? It's not like what should I do? What is society telling me? What are my friends telling me? What is my mom telling me that I should do? And like what is gonna like bring me joy? What puts me in that flow state where I'm just losing track of time? Like follow that energy and then things will kind of fall into place.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much. And
Like my answers are really long-winded, but
no, it's fantastic.
People like it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And some of the messaging reminds me a bit of, we had another guest on speaking to some of the entrepreneurial stuff with Chandra Brooks. And so it's really cool to see two very successful people having similar ideas of just going for it, what you want to do. And it's really cool. So when you're building, when you're following those skills, so you're following those passions, and you are doing what you want, how do you, let's say you know what you want to do and you're following your passions, how do you learn the skills that you need to create and market your items?
Honestly, YouTube and Chat GPT, 100%, and social media. So I taught myself like everything I needed to know about Etsy by watching YouTube. Then like you could literally just type in like how to start a YouTube channel or Etsy shop, or how to connect my Etsy shop to Printify. And there's so many tutorials. And then there's also people who specifically will go through and say, okay, here are the holidays coming up and here are some of the top trends right now. And so maybe for Mother's Day, you should design something with, thinking of like a recent one I watched, like lobsters and fish are really trendy, kind of like that, like nautical coastal look is like in right now. So it's like, do something for Mother's Day that has like a mom and you can put her name on it, and then you put a couple anchovy, like a fish, big fish and a little fish, you know what I mean? Like kind of combining different things. So that's kind of a way that a lot of people will try to like leverage trends to get traction in their shops. I would caution though that like there's a balance between, following your own, like I just said, your own kind of creative stuff, and then following exactly what other people are doing. Because I kind of got in that trap too. I was telling you guys earlier that like I don't really like love my shop right now because it feels really random to me, because as I was learning, I was like, oh, okay, I should be designing this kind of thing. Oh, I should do this kind of thing. And so it feels a little disjointed. And so I'm working on making it like more cohesive and all that kind of stuff. But my top selling things, I used to have an au pair nanny who was from Mexico, and she came to live with my kids for 2 years, and she was amazing. And now she's like part of our family. And so I just started designing au pair things, like, because a lot of times when an au pair will come, the host parents will give them a gift, or they'll give them like goodbye presents or whatever. So I had looked on Etsy and hadn't found something I really liked. So I was like, oh, I'll just make my own. So one of my best selling ones is like, it says in my au pair era, kind of Taylor Swift vibes. And that one sells all the time. And then I've also made custom ones where people can put like a star on the part of the United States that they are, and then the names of the kids. And so it's like a gift for the au pair that it's like, you know, really more personalized. So those are some of the things of like that I do when I'm just like trying to be creative with it. But it's like a lot of it is really just teaching yourself. Like there's Reddit threads, there's Facebook groups. Like you can also get into Facebook groups to help promote your stuff. Like if any of you are, you know, influencers or anything, like, you know, Facebook is kind of dead, but Facebook groups are very much alive, and you can find groups that just resonate with whatever niche you're in. So for example, I joined an au pair host parent Facebook group. And once in a while, like around Christmas time, I'll like put my Etsy shop in there and say, hey, like if you're looking for presents, and I always get a bunch of hits that way. So it's kind of thinking creatively in that way, and then spending some of the time that you would be like scrolling on TikTok or playing video games or whatever the kids do these days, and just watching YouTube videos and just teaching yourself how to do stuff, because there's so much information. And there's a lot of people who like sell courses and stuff. And I actually did buy a course that I felt was helpful, especially for like accountability kind of stuff. But overall, I would say 85% of what I've learned is just from watching YouTube.
I love those out of the box ideas. I never thought of that. Going to Facebook or these types of groups and really marketing. What would you say, just kind of pivoting a little bit, what would you say, again, to our students or alumni listening, what are some challenges that you'll face? So maybe you could share, you know, challenges you faced in getting your shop started, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question for me, because I think I'm honestly really still in it in a lot of ways, but a lot of it is overcoming doubt, or sort of that like inner judge that everyone has, like, oh, this is stupid, or, you know, putting yourself out on the, well, I don't know. I'm like, is this an issue for high school kids nowadays, like putting yourself out on the internet? Because I feel like it's so normal. But for like, I think for us as millennials, it's something we kind of grew into, and it feels like almost cringy to like show up as your full self on the internet and promote yourself and stuff like that. So that's kind of something I've had to overcome. And then a lot of it, it's like you can, like I said, it is really scalable. Like you have potential to make a lot of money, but you also have to put in the work. It's one of those things that there's nothing that's like a get rich quick. It just, those things aren't real, I don't think. At least I haven't found it yet. But with stuff like Etsy, if you were to choose, I'm gonna make an Etsy shop, there is a lot of work that goes into it before you're gonna actually be making money. So it's like you have to set your whole shop up. Like you want to have some sort of kind of cohesive branding, and you know, a lot of things can be made in Canva or different programs like that. And then a lot of it is trial and error. So like you might post 50 designs and only like one of them really sells, and that can be really discouraging. And honestly, like I haven't been super consistent with my Etsy shop. Like I know it could be a lot further along if it didn't ebb and flow for me so much, but I've just kind of had so many other things going on in my life. But I guess my point is that for a while, it will feel like a lot of work for little return on investment. But if you are consistent with it, it is something that can grow and become scalable and passive, and money that just kind of comes in automatically. But I think a lot of people reach the point where they're like, wow, I've put in a ton of work on this and I don't have anything to show for it, or I'm not making enough money and I'm just gonna kind of throw in the towel. So just continuing and being consistent. And honestly, that's advice for myself too. Like now I'm like inspiring myself to go work on my Etsy shop. So it's something that you'll battle forever, I think. You know, it's like a human thing, and I don't think anyone ever really fully arrives at it. But the more you just like can be consistent in the same direction on something you want, that's when you find success, I think.
Awesome, I love it. And I think our for our next question, I think we kind of pretty much covered for the most part it through things, but just maybe a few tips. Basically, we're looking for our students who are thinking about starting or running their own business through here. Like, do you have any? Again, I think you've kind of covered it over of a lot of what you've shared with us already. But I guess if you had to have like a little list, like of top tips.
So, and I was just thinking, I'd be happy to like put a little list together of some of the tools that I use the most often. But so I have my Etsy shop, and I link it to Printify. There's a couple other, if you choose to do print on demand, you can also create your own art and sell it and have inventory and stuff. There's options for that. And there's also like, if you want to go that route, just type that into YouTube. There's like a ton of information about that too, but I'm just mostly doing the print on demand. So Printify is the program I use to make mock-ups, like model shots with your t-shirt design on it or whatever. There's a program called Place It. So all of these also, when you talk about money, like this isn't like a high cost to start, but there are some programs that I pay for. Like I pay for a monthly subscription to Printify. I pay for a monthly subscription to Canva Pro, a monthly subscription to Place It, the mock-up one. There's other things that you can do that can help with like SEO research and keywords. So there's different programs that you can opt into, but I feel like you don't really have to. And honestly, with ChatGPT, you can do a lot of different stuff like that right now. I talk to ChatGPT like it's my best friend, and I'm just like, I don't know how to do this. Like, pretend you're an like you can literally go into ChatGPT and be like, pretend you are an expert Etsy shop seller making multi 6 figures in your print on demand Etsy shop. Like, walk me through how to do it, and it will lay it all out for you, honestly. And I know some people have mixed feelings about AI, but personally, I'm using it as a tool to help me learn a lot of entrepreneur stuff that I don't know on my own. And then, okay, what other tools do I use? I have a business bank account. I would say that if you're serious about it, I would set up a separate bank account because you do have to file taxes and there's all of that. YouTube, how to file taxes, that's a thing too. But I have a bank account that is separate from my personal, and I didn't do that at first when I was first selling on Poshmark and stuff like that. And it was like kind of messy. And honestly, the first year or two, I mean, I didn't sell a ton, so I don't think it was that bad, but I didn't really file taxes for it and stuff. So don't do that. But yeah, there's like a lot of tools you can use, and some of them, I would also just mess around with, okay, what tools am I using a lot? And if you're like, okay, why am I paying $20 a month for this? I only use it once every 2 months or whatever. You can kind of just like play with that as well. Like I stopped paying for the SEO keyword program because I was like, I'm not using this enough. It's not worth it. So it's just like a dance, I think. And like I said, just being consistent and monitoring your account. There's lots of free like spreadsheets where you can track your income versus expenses and just being aware of those numbers coming in. There's tutorials on how to price your items. Like it's just kind of just diving in, and it's a lot, but understanding that just like chipping away at it slowly and surely is the way to do it, and not expecting to be an expert all at once. Because I don't consider myself an expert on this or any of the things I'm doing. I'm just doing them. I think that's the difference.
I love it. I love how you said it's like a dance. Like it's the life, and I think that beautifully captures the life of an entrepreneur. It's a dance, and it's an unpredictable dance. So thank you for sharing that. Since we're on that topic of pivoting and dancing and kind of really building your business or your brand, I want to just kind of shift a little bit and talk about time management. So how do you manage your time with this business and all these other obligations? I realize a lot of our students are graduating, or maybe an alumni who's working a 9 to 5 while they build their Etsy. So maybe they're working for someone else and they're going to trade school or college or university. What does that look like, time management for like an Etsy shop or these types of businesses for our creatives?
Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like I'm talking to myself because I don't have it all figured out, but I am working on it. And I treat it like a full-time job. For me, it is now. I'm fully stepping into figuring out how to basically make money by myself. And worst case scenario, I'll go back and get a 9 to 5 and with my tail between my legs or whatever. But for now, I definitely treat it like a full-time business. And there's kind of the idea of when you are trying to do something new or make changes in your life to like step into the version of yourself that you want to be. So if you want to have a successful business, you imagine what would I do if I already had a business that made $500,000 a year online? What would I do? What would my day-to-day life be like? And you would be very structured. You probably would have a business bank account. You would do all these different types of things to like move yourself forward. You'd have really good customer service. You would try to make your branding look very professional from the beginning, like things like that. And so kind of holding yourself to the standard in your mind of not where you are right now as a total beginner, but where you want to be 6 months, a year from now. And then also though, that there's like a little asterisk there. It's also not holding yourself to like a level of perfection where you're keeping yourself stuck. It's like you kind of gotta like don't let perfection be the enemy of good, right? And I get stuck into that trap, like I was talking about, like doing so much research and trying to find all the best ways and then switching what I'm focusing on because I'm like, oh well, maybe they're saying this is the top selling thing, so maybe I should design this, even though like in my mind I have some good ideas over here, but you know what I mean? So it's like it goes back to that inner trust of being like, I'm just gonna put this out there. It feels scary. There's also okay, I know you're talking about time management, but I'm just gonna throw a bunch of nuggets at you of just random things that have helped me. The idea that your body, your nervous system is designed to keep you safe, right? Like we are designed to run away from bears and protect our families and that kind of stuff, and like gather berries and whatever we were designed to do. And so our bodies still act that way. So when you're super stressed out, you're really worried about things, like you're kind of in that like running from a bear, fight or flight thing, right? So that's when I talk about like getting in the flow. And like sometimes for me with the time management stuff, I'm like, oh, I should be working on this, and this. I should be filing my taxes. I should be getting organized. And I'm like shooting myself with these like standards that I'm making up. And that makes my body unconsciously feel unsafe. And when you're unsafe, when you're running from a bear, think of our ancestors. When they're running from a bear, they're not going to stop and like create this beautiful artistic cave painting, right? They're going to be running from a bear. So like your creativity literally turns off when you're in fight or flight. So if you're like stressed about money, or you're stressed about people judging you, or you're stressed, you're kind of like in this like scared of the future mode, you're not going to be able to like put out your best work creatively. So that's been something I've had to really remind myself of, is like, okay, how do I bring my body back to safety so that my creativity can turn back on? And sometimes it's a matter of like going on a walk. For me, like politics really freak me out. So it's like deleting Instagram for the day and just pretending like nothing's going on. It's like just trying to bring myself back into a space where I can really be focused, instead of trying to force myself to like work on something for 30 minutes when I'm already in this like state. So, and then also because as an entrepreneur, there should be less rules, right? Like you're wanting to be creative, you're wanting to be an entrepreneur because there are fewer like demands on your time and what you do each hour of the day. So the advice I've gotten from my mentors is like, there's always stuff to do. You'll always feel like you're behind, but as long as you're doing something every day, it goes back to that consistency. As long as you're doing something to move yourself forward every day, it might be something totally different every day, but as long as you're moving forward a little bit each day, you will make progress and you will end up a lot further than you think you'll be.
Awesome. I love it so much. This really, really fantastic information. I really appreciate everything that you have to say for us. I know our students are going to love it, and this has been really cool. We got a couple more questions for you. So, and again, some of these, this one we kind of touched on a little bit too, but just, just to, for the sake of covering everything.
Yeah. And I'm going in a bunch of different tangents, so.
Oh, no worries. It's all great. It's all fantastic.
I'm not answering any question perfectly exactly.
Oh, it doesn't, it's all really informative and really well put, and I think it'll help someone and anyone in some way or form. So I think it's fantastic, and again, we appreciate it. But our next question is just like, we kind of talked about a bit, but what does social media and online marketing, like, what role does that play in growing your business?
Yeah, I definitely think it does play a role. And I also, like, the other business I'm building is I'm building a PR firm. Like, that's kind of my background, like communications, marketing, that sort of stuff. And so it for sure does play a role. Like, I think, unfortunately, fortunately, it depends what your perspective is on it. Like, social media is big, it's kind of the way people get found these days. What's good about Etsy is it does run like a search engine. So people can go to Etsy, type in the thing they want. They say like handmade custom mug for Mother's Day, and a bunch of stuff will pop up. So when you're doing your research and building your shop, there are ways, to put in the keywords and optimize your titles and all that kind of stuff, like making sure your pictures are really beautiful and having a size chart. Like, there's different ways to like make sure each of your listings individually looks really professional, so that if someone does come straight to it, there's not like any resistance where they're like, wait, the size chart is weird, and I'm gonna go look for something else. Because there's so many listings that the moment someone, right, like if you're on Amazon or something, like the moment something is like off, you're like, oh, I'll just go to the next thing, you don't even think about it. So that's kind of advice for making sure your actual shop. I would say the first step is to make sure your shop is like as optimized as possible, so that it looks really professional, people can find it, it's clear what you're selling, that kind of thing. And then from there, Etsy does make it easy to, once you post a listing, you can sync like your Pinterest, your Instagram, and you can share things that way. You can also take reviews. They have a really easy way to share, like if you get a 5-star review, to share it on your Instagram, things like that. So you don't have to put your face on it. If you're not like into promoting yourself as a person on the internet, you can do it in like a faceless way. But they recommend, like if you're making a physical product, make a little video of you making the product, or like there's different things you can do. And it could just be your hands if you don't want to be on camera, or if you do want to be on camera, like promote the crap out of yourself, right? But it's definitely a part of it for sure. But I think that one thing that one of my business coaches said just about my stuff in general, because I do come from more of like a marketing background where I'm like, my focus is always just like taking something finished and promoting it. I'm like, okay, how do we amplify this and get it in front of all these people? This is so great. Let's share this with the world. And now I'm in the position where I'm actually building the thing. And so my business coach was like, you're focusing on the frosting and you don't even know what kind of cake you have. And I was like, oh crap. So it's like, for me, sometimes like being super creative and getting in the flow is great, but also checking in with yourself once in a while and being like, wait, what are some of the like nitty gritty tasks that I haven't done? Like, optimizing my keywords and, put like opening up my business bank account. There are things that like aren't fun all the time. It is a business, but yeah. Does that help?
I think it did help. You gave us a lot. I think you gave us a lot. Okay, we have one last question.
Sure.
It is, briefly tell us, what is the most rewarding part of your Etsy journey or page so far? And it doesn't have to be, well, maybe most. Let's take that word out. What is a rewarding? I know it's hard to pick between like most or, and someone says, what is the most?
Yeah.
All the rewards are different, I'm sure. But what is a rewarding part of your Etsy journey that you like to share with our students?
Yeah, I think having a creative outlet that is monetizable and scalable is very rewarding because like I said in the beginning, leaning back into my creativity has been a really big part of my finding myself after getting laid off and after getting divorced and kind of, being in this place where I'm like, who am I? What am I? And just leaning back into my creativity has really helped me come back to myself. And I feel like be the best version of myself and all these different things. Like creativity is like my North Star right now. So I think it's really beautiful that there are so many opportunities these days to make money online in a creative way, right? Like back in the day, like I think about my dad, who's like a very traditional artist. He does glass art. And so it's like he works with galleries. He has a art broker who helps him find corporate clients. And, it's like, so kind of the marketing, sort of the online presence stuff is like so foreign to him and it really intimidates him. And he also doesn't even really see the value in it. So I'm trying to help him with that right now, actually. But there's just so much possibility with it to scale and to, maybe your thing is the next like viral thing on Etsy, or maybe you start designing cool quotes on Instagram and then you make your own Shopify store and you sell stickers for $2, but you sell 500,000 stickers and you're good to go, so there's just so many different ways to do it. And I think, it's like learning the skills so that you can do it in a professional way, but then also not following the crowd so much that you're just kind of copycatting other people. It's like, okay, learn the rules and then break them, and do it yourself and lean into your creativity and your, because I believe your creativity, like I said, comes from your intuition. It comes from your higher power, whatever you believe in, but it's what makes you unique. And that's what you should lean into these days, especially when there's just so much out there that's not unique.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today, for your story, your insight, your tips. I know, Jonathan, I know that our students are going to love hearing about all of this stuff. Really, really cool. I mean, I'm even like, it's got my gears spinning too. Jonathan knows I'm a creative as well, so it's got my gears spinning.
Monetize it. That's the thing too. Exactly. Like I know so many creative people who don't monetize their stuff, or it's kind of like an afterthought. And I'm like, no, we all gotta make money. We all gotta eat. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Like, secure your bag, as the young folks say, and like, but do it in a way that's like feels fun and feels like you.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan, I saw you want to say, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to thank you, Grace, for being here and for sharing your journey. And we're super excited about just all the feedback from students. And then to our students, just if you're really curious about Grace's work, we're going to have a link, right, Blake? We'll have a link to her Etsy page, and then we'll put it in the description. And so definitely go and check it out and support. You're kind of like once you interview on our school podcast, you're like one of us now, Grace.
I love
So you're one of our own. So yeah, support her.
Yeah, and same goes. I'll give you access to I'll send you my Etsy shop stuff, but also if anyone wanted to reach out to me, I'll put my LinkedIn or my email. And I just really believe in like paying it forward. I've had so many people help me along my career path, and no strings attached, just like book a meeting with me and we could talk about whatever. I just, like I said, I don't just do Etsy. I could talk to you about many different things, but I'd be happy to do that, because honestly, networking is so important, and that's I'd be happy to help in that way too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's going to wrap up our PACE podcast for today. So, like we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, we're almost there to the summertime. So a lot of time, summertime opens up plenty of time to start learning, checking out YouTube and honing those skills, opening your own businesses.
When your mom tells you to get a summer job, say, I already have one. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
And make some cool designs.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into your PACE podcast. And as always, stay creative, stay focused, and we will catch you on the next one.